Hello everybody, I'm just going to do a quick unboxing of the Blu Energy Jr. And this thing has got a 3000 milliamp battery, and that's the main reason I wanted to check it out. The other specs, besides the battery, it doesn't have too many other perks. Besides the price, it originally came out with the price tag of only $39.99 USD. And I couldn't find it for that cheap, but I did get it for $49.99, just $10 more. I did find a separate website later on that actually was selling it for $39.99, which was only one website I could find it on. So let's go ahead and get started. It's only got 512 megabyte internal memory and 256 megabytes of RAM, which is not a lot if you know anything about phones. But what I'm planning on doing is doing some sort of swap space hack to add more memory to it, even though swap space can be slow at a certain time, but hopefully that will increase the memory. When we first open it, it has some specs at the bottom, and then right once we open it, there's the phone with the plastic cover. So when you first hold this, it feels sort of like a cheap phone. The back has an imitation of leather, but it's really plastic. Although it seems like a cheap phone, should be able to work fine. One thing about this is it's dual SIM, and by the way, this doesn't seem to have the battery in it right now, so I'm just going to open up to next level. Has the manual, and then the charger, and then the battery. It's pretty fat, good sized battery. So in order to open this, assuming you pull out the side, and then put in the battery. So you can see there's an SD card slot here, there's a SIM card slot here, and then a SIM slot here, micro SIM and larger SIM card. You can see the buttons, there's the power button, volume buttons, and then the microphone is down here. The top there's a micro USB slot, the audio jack, and a 3.15 megapixel camera with LED flash. And then the screen, let's go ahead and start this up. So it's a pretty bright display, but it's only got a 480 by 800 pixel screen, so it's not like you're getting the best from this. There's the home, back, and menu button at the bottom, physical buttons, and then the setup screen. And just from looking at it, the screen doesn't look all too great from the different viewing angles, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. So I'm going to do a quick review on this. So I've used this phone for a couple days now, and there are a few things that I've noticed. The first is that, as I've stated earlier, this is obviously has a low amount of storage for apps and things, so you're going to need an SD card in order to make this phone even functional. I think I tried to install, as soon as I set it up and everything, tried to install an app from the Play Store that was, I believe, 50 megabytes. It's the first app I was downloading, and it ran out of storage just from that one app. So you're definitely going to need an SD card, and then once you put the SD card in, you can go into settings, storage, and then the preferred install location, you can set it to the SD card. So then the next apps that you install, they'll all be installed to the SD card, and it won't waste your internal storage. You can do the same thing for the default write disk. These settings, they're basically the same as any stock 4.4.2 firmware. The left menu button opens the multitasking area. You can see it looks like they've modified the operating system slightly, such as this icon, the one that clears all the apps. It's not the best design, but it works. I haven't done too much on it. I did try to get it rooted, and when I was doing that using kingroot, something went wrong after that. It was temporarily rooted, so it worked for a little bit, but then it just stopped working. And now I can't re-root it. So it's stuck with this kingroot app as a system app, so you can't uninstall it. You could disable it, but you can't uninstall it. And super user is not working, and you can't root it for some reason. I've tried multiple different ways of rooting. Battery life seems really good. It seems to be able to last days with just normal use. Probably about 3 days normal use, since it does have a 3000 milliamp battery. Here's the camera. Camera quality for a 3 megapixel camera. It's really not too good, but it works for a simple camera. Another thing I feel that's worth mentioning is that this phone only has assisted GPS. That means that you have to have data in order to use GPS. If you don't have a data connection or Wi-Fi, you can't use GPS. One of the reasons I bought this phone is because I wanted to use it as a GPS without data, and unfortunately that's not going to work with this unless I have data. One thing I like about this phone is that it has the bare minimum of apps. It's not all bloated like a lot of other apps. The only bloatware I really see is the Blu help, which if you were rooted you could uninstall. Now, if I could get root, I could increase the memory from 512 megabytes to whatever I want using swap space of an SD card. And that is just simply using a swap space app to enable swap. But unfortunately, since I was unable to get it working on root, I cannot do this. Overall, it's not too bad. It does get bogged down if you're trying to do different things pretty quickly. So it can't do much multitasking. It can do a little bit. So you can be slow at times. See right here it even messed up opening up the multitasking. It's not showing the apps. So there's different issues with it. It's not the best, but it works. This phone isn't too bad. I've kind of gotten used to it. Just like holding it, it kind of feels a little better. This phone works as intended. It's got a good battery life, so if you want a phone with a good battery life that's really cheap and just works right out of the box, you don't need much, then this phone will work for you. If you want something with more RAM or more storage, or something that you want to customize more, this phone probably isn't for you. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like these types of videos.